The hot coffee controversy cost Rockstar $163 million. Which honestly sounds worse than it is, seeing as how GTA San Andreas made approximately $235 million in its first week. But still, $163 million, lawsuits, investigations, recalling and recoding the game is an insane amount of effort for a simple minigame, right? During the development of San Andreas, Sam Houser wanted to include more role-playing elements in the game. He wanted to push the boundaries of what is and isn't allowed in games, much like film and TV producers have done in the past. So, the team came up with the idea of a minigame where CJ is able to have sex with his girlfriends, which isn't unheard of for TV and film, but it does not exist in any video games. So Sam and the team saw this as another way of progressing the medium, whilst also generating controversial headlines which GTA is notorious for. But unfortunately, this plan would fall through when Rockstar was trying to get the game's maturity rating. The ESRB told them that the game would be rated adult only if they included this minigame, and you see, they didn't want an adult only rating, as it would massively affect their sales. They wanted a mature rating, but to do this, they would have to remove the minigame, and unfortunately, removing the minigame would not just be as easy as deleting it. According to Sam Houser, they couldn't just remove the code for it. The minigame was woven into the game, and the code is dependent on other code, so just deleting the code could potentially break the game, and the game was scheduled to be released not long after this. So after wondering what to do, an executive decision was made to release the game with the code still in it, but to disable it and lock it away from users. However, Rockstar really underestimated a group of dudes with a laptop. You see, on the PS2 you couldn't edit the base code of the game, but you were able to view certain files. And not longer after the PS2 release of San Andreas, a modder was browsing the game files and would spot multiple files called sex, kissing, S&M and blowjobs. And with these newfound files, he would label them hot coffee so it wouldn't gain unwanted attention from fans or Rockstar. The modder waited until the PC release so he could access and manipulate these files better. And as soon as GTA San Andreas dropped for Windows, a group of modders would go back to these files and release a patch to the public on GTAgarage.com. This patch was called Hot Coffee. The patch would unlock this minigame that Rockstar locked away, and you could even enable this patch on the PS2 by just simply amending your save file. The Hot Coffee patch would go on to be downloaded over 1 million times in the span of 4 weeks, and this popularity of Hot Coffee would cost Rockstar millions. After the news broke out about this minigame, Rockstar and Take-Two withheld any comments on the situation for weeks, but with ever-building pressure, they eventually came out and said that Hot Coffee was the result of a third-party modification and that they would comply with any forthcoming investigation. Rockstar were then hit by investigation after investigation from all over the globe. Local politicians would go on to publicly condemn the ESRB for not providing San Andreas with an appropriate maturity rating of adults only, and it just kept getting worse from Rockstar from here. After more news broke, Senator Hillary Clinton further declared that she would begin to work on a bill that would make it a federal crime to sell violent or sexually explicit video games to individuals under the age of 18. Then the United States House of Representatives voted to launch an FTC investigation against Take-Two and Rockstar with the intent of determining whether the developers had intentionally misled the ESRB on the content of the game to avoid the adult-only rating. Hell, even an 85-year-old woman from New York filed a lawsuit against them because she claimed that Rockstar had engaged in false advertising, consumer deception and unfair business practices by marketing the game under the incorrect maturity rating, and eventually it all came crashing down. The ESRB announced San Andreas would be re-rated from mature to adult only. Take-Two would then suspend all production of San Andreas until they could release a version of the game with Hot Coffee removed. They would pay a hefty amount of money in fines, legal fees and refunds. But eventually Rockstar would release a second edition of San Andreas with Hot Coffee removed. This edition would be reverted back to the mature rating and sales would continue as normal. But there was one last thing to do. In GTA 4, Rockstar would allegedly make Hillary Clinton the Statue of Liberty, and she can be seen holding a hot coffee, giving us one of the greatest Easter eggs of all time. Why not check out another one of my GTA video essays on screen now? Thanks for watching.